The voice that you value will oftentimes show you the person that you will become. We don't talk about it often, how important it is, the decision and the people we decide to give our ear. The people whose opinions we value. The places that we would like to see ourselves. The rooms that we would like to see ourselves in. A lot of times we chalk it up to small potatoes. We say, hey, it's really not that important. Oh, they have something that I want. Maybe I should see how they got it. Oh, that looks like a cool room to be in. Those look like cool people to know. And before we know it, we begin to idolize, pedestalize, and put people in places in a position in our lives that they should never be. All because we did not pay attention to how much power we give the words of men and women. You see, there are many voices. There are voices of encouragement. There are voices of validation. There are voices of rebuke. There are teaching voices, debating voices. There are so many different voices that we hear on the daily basis, that we converse with, that we just hear in conversations as we pass by. Talking to our parents on the phone, talking to our friends on the phone, listening to podcasts like you're doing right now, social media. There's so many voices that crowd our life and are making deposits that we don't even notice half the time. And when we do notice, we're not a lot of times asking the question, is this a voice that I should be listening to? We just get caught up in the entertainment of it all. Now, the thing about it is, when it comes to all of these voices and then allowing them to influence us, it's all a conversation of values, okay? What we need to understand about values is that what you value is linked to what you believe gives you value. I'm going to say that one more time. What you value, what you find valuable, is linked to what you believe gives you value, okay? This is very, very important. Why is this important? It's important because a lot of times we're not thinking about, or we're not conscious of the things that we give esteem. What somebody values plays a heavy, heavy part in what they choose to spend their time and attention on. Some individuals believe that the stock market will give them value, so they spend countless hours and time with the stock market to understand it, to be able to play in it in an intelligent and swift manner, to make their gains, to make their increases. Other individuals believe that the streets and fast money and survival rather than thriving will provide them the most value. So that's how they spend their time. That's how they live their life. That's what they do. What we value, what we believe will give us value, oftentimes is the thing to which we acclaim or esteem value. What we value is linked to what we believe gives us value. But for this reason, this is why we need to be so careful and intentional with what we value. We need to be so careful and intentional whose words we apply value to, what places and spaces we apply value to. Because the thing about it is, once we let these things in, once we let these people in, once we let these ideologies and mindsets in, it is very, very hard to get rid of them. Analogy. You don't just let anybody get in your car. When you're rolling through a city, when you're rolling down the street, when you go to a gas station and you're looking around and scanning to make sure that it's a safe environment, you don't just let anybody into your car, and you don't just invite anybody into your car, because you know once they are inside of your car, you cannot control what they do to you. All you can do is react and defend. You don't just let anybody inside your apartment or house. There's a lock on that door for a reason. And many of us are very intentional about the individuals we allow inside of our houses and our apartments, because we know that once somebody is inside, we cannot control what they do, only react and defend. It's the exact same thing with the voices that we allow to influence our minds, our hearts, and our actions. The voices that we allow to influence our values, because once you let them in, you can't unhear something once you've heard it. You can't unconsider something once you consider it. All you can do is juggle what is now inside of you, and hopefully it hasn't become a part of you. All you can do now is try to defend or rework what you've been exposed to, but you cannot get rid of it. And a lot of times, if we're not careful, things can influence us before we've even had a chance to catch them. Saul, in 1 Samuel at chapter 18, we see him in a very, very, very sensitive state. Now, this is after David has killed Goliath. And the ladies around, they come and they begin to sing this song that bugs him to his core. They say, Saul has killed his thousands, but David has killed his tens of thousands. And they're singing this and they're parading it around. And this puts Saul in a very, very insecure state. He became so insecure that he began to make enemies out of people who meant him no harm. There were people and priests and cities and individuals who meant him no harm. They wouldn't have hurt him even if he smacked them in the face, probably. And he had these people killed. Well, I can't say that on the podcast. I'm not sure. He had these people unalived. He had these people hurt. Not because they were threats to him physically or even spiritually, but he was a threat. They aided somebody who was a threat to his ego. He was hurting innocent people out of frustration. And as a result, he was frozen at a point in his life because he was caught in a cycle of jealousy. Now, to be very real and very transparent, encouragement, attention, and favor from people is something that I believe all of us want in some way, form, or fashion. Attention and favor and preference and encouragement, it all feels great. When somebody says you did a good job, when somebody says, oh, you the man, or you the woman, or you're really on your stuff, or you're the best, you're this, you're that, it feels good. When people prefer us, it feels good. When situations go well for us, it feels good. We want people to like us, usually. We want people to feel good when our name comes up, usually. Not to mention, oftentimes people treat individuals that they like better. But at the same time, even you don't want attention and encouragement and favor from just anybody. For example, I highly doubt that you would want attention from a serial unaliver. I do not think that you would be wanting pats on the back from a serial unaliver. Somebody who assaults people. I do not think that you would actively choose to be friends and receive encouragement and favor and attention and preference from somebody who routinely assaults people, even on a whim assaults people. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we do it, but none of us should be settling or making peace with receiving negative attention just because we're not receiving the attention that we might want in a specific context or season. No attention at all is better than bad attention. Encouragement from the wrong place is worse than no encouragement at all. Not to mention, our true encouragement comes from God, and it's an internal thing, but that's a conversation for another day. The point I'm hoping to relay is the degree to which every voice does not necessarily need to be paid attention to or valued. Every form of attention and encouragement and every crowd that we could receive encouragement and favor from is not worth giving our time and attention to. There's some rooms that we just don't need to be in. I've experienced this firsthand. For a long time in my life, I didn't even know it, but I was chasing validation. I would try to do things that weren't within my wheelhouse to do. I would try to be a person who honestly I'm not. I would pretend to like things that I don't like. I would validate things that did not deserve validation. And honestly, God would be heart-wrenched, or was heart-wrenched rather, because he saw it all. When it came to the music that I was trying to make, talking about things that I would not be proud for anybody to know that I was willing to do at one point in my life. Trying to keep up with individuals who had a heart colder than mine. I was a broken person looking for broken people to make me feel whole. And that's why I had to let God's opinion matter most, because as long as I was chasing the approval of people who don't even truly approve of themselves, I was going to continue to be caught in a cycle of destruction and dysfunction, and ultimately see my demise and bring a whole lot of people with me, because I'm attributing value to the voices of people who don't even know what true value is. I'm following the pattern of people who don't even know where they're going. I'm looking for direction in the voices and in the examples of people who are blind. It wasn't until I let God's voice be the guide that not only did life start making sense, but every ounce of validation that I needed came from the results that God allowed me to realize in my life. From my beautiful wife to my beautiful daughter, to us not wanting or needing anything that God hasn't provided, to having a great friend group and great family growth and just a plethora, a whole array of every good and perfect thing, all because I was obedient enough to begin to place his voice above anybody else's voice. And so on today, what I would like to encourage you to do is begin to take control in the one area of your life that God actually gives you control. And that is your choice. And I would like to encourage you to use that choice to intentionally choose to pay attention to the voice of God. Now, what does that look like? Studying, understanding what God expects in doing that. Number 2, spending time with individuals who actually want to see you win and actually know God. Because the fact of the matter is, everybody who knows God may not necessarily want to see you win. And I hate to say, but there's brothers and sisters in Christ who are so consumed with their life and what they want, and even their own insecurities and jealousies, that though they know God, they may not necessarily want to see you win. It's terrible, I know, but I would hate to see you fall because somebody who did not have your best interest at heart became an influence on your life and begin to lead you astray just so that they can have the one up. Everybody who knows God may not necessarily have your best interest at heart, because just because somebody knows God doesn't mean that they trust, believe, and follow God. Satan himself knows God, but he still came to kill, steal, and destroy. Also, you want to make sure that the people know God and want to see you win, because everybody who wants to see you win doesn't necessarily know God. To some individuals, having lust take over your life, having substance, alcohol, drugs take over your life, having habits and gambling and anything that pulls you further away from the self-control and discipline that God has called you to, some individuals will see this as a good thing. They'll see this as winning. They'll see this as growing. They'll see this as personal development. They'll see this as arriving. And those individuals do not need your ear either. They can want the best for you. They can love you to bits. They can be willing to give their life for you. But if they do not understand what true value is, if they don't understand that true value can only come from God, and they don't understand the riches of his glory and the depth of how impactful true relationship with God can be, they don't need to have your ear either. Begin to spend your time with individuals who not only want to see you win, but know God and know that winning can only happen through Christ. I promise you, if you make this shift today, you will see your life begin to materialize in a way that you never thought was possible, in a way that is larger than logic can comprehend. But as you all know, my name is Avery Taylor. You are tuned into the Larger Than Logic podcast, and I'm so glad that you've allowed me to be a part of your journey. We out.